I'm just focused on right here and right now. Like we got a beautiful team here, and I want to be a part of it. We got a great situation here. My family loves it. I enjoy it. The weather's great. The fans are great. So we got a beautiful situation here, man. Obviously, my parents always taught me, control the controllables, and I only can control so much. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, we all know the NFL is a business. Whatever happens, happens. You know what I'm saying? So moving forward, I would love to be here.
So you're saying there's a chance the Cheetah coming back to Kansas City? Possibly, maybe. We're going to get into that. The Chiefs wide receiver room, some fantasy trading, why the Raiders still suck, and we're going to preview the Monday night showdown where the New Orleans Saints are coming to Kansas City for the beatdown they deserve. All that and much more. Hit the music.
Murder, 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 most foul. Welcome to Most Foul TV. This is Most Foul TV with your host, Dr. Penny.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, Most Foul TV. I'm your host, Don Pena, and this is Most Foul Chief. All right, we're going to get right into it, guys. You saw their clip at the top of the video. Everyone's been talking about it all week. The Chiefs wide receiver room, who we're going to trade for, who we're not going to trade for, and of course, Tyrek Hill's name is brought up amongst others, and we'll get into them as well, and what I think will most likely happen. But let's talk about the current events and kind of more exciting. It's just fun to think of, and the Cheetah and those comments, right? So, of course, let's break it down. We all know of the Rashee Rice injury. And at this date and time, it's Friday night. We still don't know the extent of Rashee Rice's injury. I'll try not to sound too harsh. I know I've been listening to some of the clips, and a lot of times my voice sounds all fucked up. So I'll try to drink water. Also, look, I look presentable for you guys. I don't look all fucked up. Like I haven't seen a shaver in 5 years, right? And I'm presentable now. I don't look like a beast man anymore. You're welcome. You're welcome, America. So, going back to it, I'll try, let's make this sound a little bitter. It's very harsh when it sounds like, I got phlegm in my throat. So I apologize. Either way, let's get into it. It's exciting and fun to think about where the Chiefs can go with this wide receiver room, what they're going to do at the trades or not trades. And so you saw Tyrek Hill, a reporter asked him about a possible trade back to Kansas City. Now, why did they say that? Why did that even come up, right? Besides the Rashee Rice injury, as I said, it's Friday. We still don't know the extent of Rashee Rice's injury. They have not confirmed whether or not he has an ACL tear or not. We still don't know. They're doing more tests. We're probably going to know by Monday, was the last thing I heard reported. So, if that's the case, maybe we get good news. Some of the reports are saying that because it wasn't an immediate report on, yes, he tore his ACL, is going to be out for the year, that possibly he may come back sooner than we think. He might even come back before the end of the season, which is hopefully will be great news. But we won't know till Monday. And even so, he's still going to miss a significant amount of games. Like it doesn't matter. And the Chiefs did put him on injury reserve. So at the very least, he will miss anywhere from 4 to 6 games from this point on. So obviously, we are down our top wide receiver. You all know my thoughts on that. I talked about in the last episode how I think Xavier Worthy is going to step up. I'll get more into that, but let's stay on topic with Tyrek Hill. Why are they asking him if he's coming back to Kansas City, if that trade is possible, what his thoughts are and all that? Well, because of the Chiefs situation and because of the Dolphins situation. Tua Tagovailoa with his concussion history, still out with a concussion, can't come back for another 4 weeks because he's also on IR. And even if he comes back, the idea and the thinking is what happens next time? What happens when Tua gets another really messed up hit and another concussion? Are they going to call it quits then? Is he finally going to hang it up then? What do the Dolphins do? So you see what they have done without him. So some of the thinking is the Dolphins should just blow up the whole thing and start from scratch. And if they do that, that means they need to start selling off assets, meaning they need to start trading players now to start gaining draft capital for next year's draft. And a lot of the talk is, or not a lot, but I'd say some of the talk is Shakur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, I believe that's how you say his name, is going to be the number one quarterback coming out of the draft next year. So if that's the case, and the Dolphins are going to move on from Tua because he, sorry, little kid wanted me to blow my horn. If that's the case, then they move, and they do choose to move on from Tua, then obviously they need draft picks. And what better way than to try to secure the number one quarterback, which is supposedly Deion Sanders' son. So, brings us back to Tyreek Hill. You call up Kansas City, you make a deal, and it's like, well, how's that going to happen? Chiefs don't have the money. Here's the thing. It's actually more possible than you think. According to a few people, as you know, matter of fact, I will let a man who does this way better than I do, one of my favorite shows I like to watch, Cole over at How About Them Chiefs, he breaks it down really well. He talks about how if the Chiefs did make this trade, they'd really only have to pay about $1 million to Tyreek Hill for the year because the Dolphins would end up picking up the rest of his salary. Now, of course, they'd probably also have to renegotiate his deal later on down the road, which I don't think the Chiefs want to do, but would they bring him in for a year and maybe discuss a hometown discount a couple of years down the road? Now, again, Tyreek Hill might go for something like this for the simple fact that he would want to come back for the year just to be part of the three-peat and secure his legacy, and then go to another team next year and get another bag somewhere else and just say, fuck it, I'm just going to live out my NFL career and just make a fuck ton of money. I was part of a three-peat historic season. I got my other Super Bowl ring. Like, he'd be a lock. Or he could choose to stay. We're getting ahead of ourselves, folks. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's go to Cole and How About Those Chiefs channel, and let's listen to his breakdown of the contract situation and how this is possible. Check it out.
They're not winning over there. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are stacking up Super Bowl rings. The Dolphins do not have an answer at quarterback right now, with Tua on IR at least, and they are currently the worst scoring offense in the NFL, averaging just 11 points per game. According to Jason from Over the Cap, a team could actually trade for Tyreek Hill, and it would only cost them $1.7 million. Well, that is way more affordable than Devontae Adams, but in order to agree to a trade, the Dolphins would have to eat $28 million in dead money for 2025. And if there's any hope that Tua Tagovailoa actually returns from IR this season, I highly doubt they're going to trade Tyreek Hill or...
All right, guys. So as you saw there with Cole from How About Those Chiefs, reporting it would cost the Chiefs just over $6 million or whatever, just over $1 million for the year. Excuse me. And so I'm a little flustered, guys. Like, hard part about doing the videos like this for you is I'm actually working. So when I have to stop and I have to get out and do stuff, and then I have to refocus my mind, it's a little bit, it's a little much. So trying to refocus here. How's my hat? Look good? All right, cool. All right. Yeah, just over $1 million for if they were to trade for Tyreek Hill. But as you heard in that clip, the Dolphins would have to eat a shit ton of money. And would they be willing to do that? The conventional wisdom is they're not going to. And especially if they think that Tua is going to come back at any given point, right? They're not going to do it. But we're not talking about real life or real situation. We're playing fantasy here, right? We're playing fantasy trading. So let's go under the assumption that the Dolphins, because it is a possibility. For sure, it still is. It's not out of the realm of possibility. So let's say they decide, you know what, we can't afford to wait for Tua to get his next concussion. So what do we do? Well, if we sell stock now, load up on draft picks, maybe we get a good quarterback in the next draft and rebuild, right? Now the problem with trading to the Chiefs is they're not going to get a first round draft pick. I don't know why. I don't know why he wouldn't command a first round pick, but I guess because he didn't command a first round pick when we traded him to the Dolphins. So the Chiefs ain't going to give up another, a first rounder to get him back. So, but what they would offer, maybe a second and a third rounder, the Dolphins might look at that like, well, it's more draft capital. We can then take those second and third rounders off of them to another team for a first rounder. They could finagle that way. And now again, if they decide that they're going to put Tyrek Hill on the trade market, the Chiefs ain't going to be the only team that are going to want to trade for him. Now, it depends on how much they like the Cheetah. I'm talking about Miami and allowing him to pick his team. So, of course, he would pick the Chiefs if he's going to go anywhere to compete. So let's say that happens. Let's say all that falls in line. Chiefs, they'd only pay $1 million. The Dolphins would have to eat something like $13 million, according to that clip. And now he's with the Chiefs. Would he sign a new contract? Possibly. Maybe he signs a new contract for lesser money to stay around the end of his career with Patrick Mahomes. See how many more rings he can get. Or he does the 1 year, does the history, does the three-peat, and then goes and gets another bag somewhere else. So let's stay with that. And then we're going to come back to this fantasy. Well, actually, no, let's hold on because I want to end the segment on the fantasy trading. But so that is a possibility. We could get Tyrek Hill, and now obviously it would be a perfect fit. He comes back instantly, the number one wide receiver until Rashid comes back. He would be able to take Xavier Worthy under his wing, and oh my God, you have that crazy speed with Xavier Worthy and the Cheetah. And then Rashid Rice comes back. But I'll get to that. I don't want to spoil that. We're gonna talk about that. Let's move on to some of the other wide receivers that they're saying are available. Davante Adams from the Raiders, and which kind of brings me to something I touched on at the top of the video: why the Raiders suck and still suck, and will continue to suck. So get a little 2-for-1 segment here. Davante Adams, another possibility. He literally asked for its trade. He wants out of Las Vegas. They don't have a quarterback there. I had said that at the beginning of this season. Like, how these guys think they're going to compete. They don't even have a fucking quarterback, okay? Gardner Minshew and Jaden O'Connell or whatever his name is, I'm sorry, they're not the answer. So you have all this firepower. You got no one to throw to those weapons. And Davante Adams ain't going to stick around. And obviously he proved my point. So is he an option? Not really. The Raiders are never going to trade to the Chiefs. That would be dumber than the Bills trading to the Chiefs in the draft. But at least the Chiefs ain't in the Bills division, right? So the Raiders sure as hell ain't going to do it. He would cost too much money. The Chiefs ain't going to give him a huge contract. We didn't do it to Tyrek Hill. We're not going to do it to Davante Adams, right? So that's not even a possibility. Now, why I say the Raiders fucking suck and they'll continue to suck and always suck is exactly what we saw in the preseason before any games were even played. Talking all that shit. We got the Mahomes, we got Mahomes rules. Just like that, the Jordan, we got the Mahomes rules. And the Kermit shit with the puppet and all that laughing and we're here and all this shit talking, all that boasting, and you guys can't even take care of your own house. Okay? This is why y'all fucking suck. Because you want to pretend like you're contenders, like you have this fucking, it's confidence. No, bitch, it's arrogance. Okay? How about being humble? How about shutting the fuck up and do your job, get some wins, and then maybe you'll make it the playoffs. And then maybe you can start chirping a little bit. At least the Lions had the decency to wait till they started winning. Okay, they were confident, but they weren't trying to talk shit to their division rival as if they accomplished anything. They were boasting themselves up but they weren't like trying to literally talk shit to a division rival when they knew they weren't shit. Okay? Earn something. You guys can't even, you don't know a quarterback. And look what's happening. Now your star wide receiver and your head coach can't get along. Oh, yeah, but you're the team, right? Yeah, Mahomes rules, right? Shut the fuck up. Like, just shut up, right? Like, that's the problem with the Raiders. They're living off of past glory from the 80s. They think they're that team and they're not. Just do your job. Like, just understand that you're at the bottom of the damn division and work from there. Focus on the draft. Focus on getting quality players. Focus on getting a damn coach that isn't going to talk like he's a player. Okay? So that's all I was about the idiot Raiders. They're irrelevant. The Devontae Adams thing ain't going to happen, right? Some of the other wide receivers, D-Hop, DeAndre Hopkins, he's a possibility. He'll cost half of what Devontae Adams is like contract would be. But again, I don't think the Chiefs are going to do that. They're not going to want to spend that much money on it, especially for Devontae Adams, who still has a lot in the tank, but he is at the tail end of his career. So are you going to really want to pay, $7-8 million for a guy that's only going to be around for maybe this season? He's 30-something, wide receiver. I don't know. I doubt it. I seriously doubt the Chiefs ain't going to do that. Like I said, they didn't open the checkbook for Tyrek Hill, who was our guy. They're not going to do it for an aging DeAndre Hopkins. So what are the other options out there? Oh yeah, or MVS. Yeah, they're going to call MVS back and get him back from. No, they're fine. Are you kidding me? Get the hell out of here with that. Get the fuck out of here with that. They're not calling MV Sucks back, okay? Him, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore were the detriment of the team last year. And they got rid of MVS. They got rid of KT. Sky Moore, they're hanging on to him by a hair, but he's basically going to be gone. Maybe not this season. Maybe this season. Who knows? They might cut him the way he's been playing. MVS is not an option. Everybody who's thinking that, I know. Shout out to my Facebook homies. We're discussing that, but I'm sorry, folks. MVS is not an option. I don't know if you guys are, family to him, and I'm sure he's a great guy, but he sucks as a receiver. He does. Okay, I'm sorry. He's a mediocre subpar. He's not a starter. He barely can be a backup, and he is not championship caliber. He's not for this team. And I know some of the people were saying, well, he's great in the playoffs. We don't need him for the playoffs. We need him for right now. Hollywood Brown will be back for the playoffs. Possibly Rashee Rice will be back for the playoffs. We don't need a guy who's not going to show up in the regular season when all of our guys are getting injured right now. The playoffs were fine. Hollywood Brown will be back. We still got Xavier Worthy, and possibly Rashee Rice will be back. Juju's taking up the slack. He's going to be that guy. We don't need MV Sucks back. We 100% don't. The guy has no production. Now, so who's left? And I think this will be a great fit. He's like less than expensive. I mean, and he's a quality receiver. He'll be an upgrade from everybody else we've named that's not a superstar. And that's Amari Cooper. He's affordable. He's available. Something like, I think they said 700,000 or 800,000 for the year. Go get him now. And that's providing that they don't think that they even need someone else. I'm not sure they do. But again, if we suffer another injury, it makes that wide receiver room really, really thin. So if that's how the Chiefs feel, then you don't want to break the bank for one of these superstar receivers. So, a guy like Amari Cooper all of a sudden becomes very, very attractive. He doesn't have to be the starter because you can roll with Juju Smith-Schuster, Xavier Worthy, Justin Watson, Mecole Hardman as your core, obviously supporting Travis Kelce. You got Kareem Hunt in the backfield with Carson Steele and Samaje Perine, and then Pac will be back. Pacheco will be back in about 4 more weeks. So you'll be fine there, but you do need a guy who's a veteran, who has solid hands, who understands, who has great route running and concepts, who's not going to drop the fucking ball, and he's cheap. I mean, I don't want to call it a Band-Aid, but a safety blanket until Rashee Rice is ready to come back. Amari Cooper fits that to a T. I've always liked him as a receiver. He just has a bad rap. He's been on shitty teams. He really has. So you put him with Mahomes, he will be better than Sky Moore. He'll be better than Kadarius Toney was. He'll be better than MVS was. He might even be better than Juju. You know, Juju has the advantage because he knows our system. Because he's been in our system. He knows Mahomes, so he has that advantage. But just by a pure talent standpoint, he's better than Juju Smith-Schuster. So I'm all for the Amari Cooper trade. If that's the route, if they feel that they need to go get a guy, that's the guy you go get. And I kind of think they will. I think they are going to lean that way. There was talk of the guy from the Giants. I don't know much about that player. I don't remember his name at the time right now. If you guys know who I'm talking about, say it in the comments. Again, I was okay, ready to go. We're fucking almost 20 minutes in, and I still have failed to do it. Like, subscribe, hit the comment, hit the bell button, all that shit, man. I need to start practicing doing this shit at the beginning of the show. I really do. But yeah, if you like what I do, just hit a like, subscribe, all that shit. So I think Amari Cooper. I think and again, the guy from the Giants, he's a young wide receiver. I don't know much about him. I don't know how as far as like his talent and his grade and all that. So I can't say anything about that player. I think you go get a reliable guy that I think Mahomes will trust quicker is a guy like an Amari Cooper. Getting a practice squad guy or some guy off the bench from another team is a little harder because he doesn't know him from Dick. At least Amari Cooper, he knows his name. He knows he's a reliable, wide receiver that he probably would build a trust factor with a little quicker. So moving on. Let's go back. So those are the options. So what do I think that they're going to do in closing? Let's just put a cap on this segment. So I think it's going to be one of two options. Either A, they don't trade for fucking anybody, and they roll with what we got. You got Xavier Worthy as your number one. I mean, the offense is going to go through Travis Kelce. Xavier Worthy is going to be your number one wide receiver until Rashee Rice and Hollywood are back in the playoffs. But you're going to go with Kelce, the offense going through him. Xavier Worthy as your number one, Juju Smith-Schuster, your number two. Justin Watson and McCole Hardman on the backup. And they call up my dog, the guy I've been waiting for them to really give a chance to, and that's Justin Ross. I think that's really the way they should go. They should go in-house, give Justin Ross a shot. He's a big body. They just elevated the tight end, Jody Fortson, who they re-signed this past week, and they just activated him to the roster. He's a good pickup, knows the system, good hand catcher, good tight end to help Kelce. So I like that. Call up Justin Ross. So I think that may happen if they're going to go in-house. If they don't go that route and they do decide to trade for someone, I think it's going to be the Amari Cooper trade. I think that makes sense. It's the most inexpensive for the talent. Like you get a quality player, you spend very little draft capital and very little money. That's exactly a Brett Veach move. So I think one of those two things would happen. But that's the reality. But let's go back now to Tyrek Hill. And let's do a little fantasy draft. A little fantasy trading. Let's say the Dolphins lose their fucking mind and they say, let's blow this shit up. And let's start from scratch. And they say, okay, Chiefs, you can have them back. Give us a couple of, a second round and a third round and some cash. Cool. Here you go. Chiefs bring back the cheetah. You have Xavier Worthy on a rookie deal. All of a sudden, Tyrek Hill, and I said this earlier, obviously, Tyrek Hill becomes your instant number one. Doesn't have to learn much. He knows the system. He knows Mahomes. He knows the offense. Takes Xavier Worthy under his wing. We get the good news that Rashee Rice's injury wasn't as bad as we thought. We just have to wait for the swelling to go down. Maybe it's a bone bruise or some shit, but he's going to be out for the. He is on IR, so he's got to be out for another 6 weeks. So we're in what, week 4? We're going to week 5 now, right? Yeah, this will be week 5 because it was Ravens. Yeah. This will be week 5. So let's say he's out for 6 weeks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By week 11, 12, Rashee Rice is back. And all of a sudden, this is your Chiefs roster. Rashee Rice, Tyreek Hill, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, McCall Hardman, Justin Watson, and Justin Ross, because I think they're going to cut Sky Moore. You're out, Moore. Fuck you. You're done. You're done, son. Then we go one step further. We hit the playoffs. All of a sudden, guess who's back? Hollywood motherfucking Brown. Now you got Rashee Rice, Tyreek Hill, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy as your top 4. Oh my God, going into the playoffs, the NFL might as well close shop and hand the trophy to the Chiefs in the first playoff game because ain't nobody beating that fucking core. Then you got Juju Smith-Schuster as your 5th, McCall Hardman, Justin Watson, and Ross all like just batting cleanup at the end. I mean, can you imagine that team? Can you imagine a team with Rashee Rice, Tyreek Hill, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster just batting cleanup? I haven't even got it to Travis Kelce. I haven't got it to Pacheco coming back. And Kareem Hunt with 6 weeks under his belt in the Chiefs offense that in his rookie year became the rushing leader and the rookie of the year. This team would be unstoppable. You talk about the greatest show on turf with the Rams back in the day. This would be unfair to every team. And it would be a beautiful thing to watch. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It's a small chance it will. Not saying it's impossible, but I don't think it will. But it's just fun to think about. I mean, get on your Madden, bust out the PlayStation, and play that team. You know what I might even do? I might go buy Madden. I don't have a Madden game. I haven't bought one in quite a few years. But I just might do that. I might do that, and I might build that team just for the fuck of it. Because that seems like a lot of fun. So, but how about, you know what? Since we're going crazy, I'm going to do one better. Right before the trade deadline, the Chiefs decide to package a deal to the Raiders. And they tell them that they're going to trade, they're going to take Davante Adams off their hands. They're going to give up Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster, McCall Hardman, a first round and a second rounder, and probably some money. They send all that to the Oakland Raiders, or the Las Vegas Raiders, I guess, whatever. Makes no difference. For Davante Adams. And now, you have this super team of Rashee Rice, Tyreek Hill, Davante Adams, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier motherfucking Worthy. What are you going to do? Pick your poison. It's all over. It's a wrap, Rose. Close shop. The NFL doesn't stand a chance with that team. That'll never happen, and it can't happen because that's too many number ones. Who are you going to feed? It'd be too hard. But it's just fun to think about, right? It's a funny, it's a fun thing to think about. It really is. But like it's just there's not enough money. Again, it's too many number ones. We've seen it in other teams before. When you have too many number ones, it becomes a problem. There's always, you have to have the one focal guy and everything runs through him. Now, again, if there was a team that would be able to manage that many egos and that many like mouths, it would be Mahomes and the Chiefs. But, uh, well, again, that won't happen. The Raiders ain't going to do it. The Chiefs won't do it because they're not going to give up that much capital. Now, again, don't be shocked or surprised if the Tyreek Hill thing happens, though. That is a very much a real possibility because of Tua Tagovailoa's situation, his concussion history and all that. It's very much possible that Tyreek Hill thing can happen. I don't think it will, but it still is. It's very much possible. So, but yeah, so that's some fun fantasy drafting, fantasy trading, whatever you want to call it. But again, I doubt any of that will be real. We'll see what happens by Monday with the news with Rashee Rice, and then we'll see where the Chiefs go with it. Are they going to stay in-house, or are they going to make a trade for Amari Cooper, which is most likely the situation that would happen if they decide to trade. All right, let's move on to the next segment, folks. I think we're going to get right into the game here. Give me 1 second. Let me check my notes, and we'll be right back. All right, guys. One more thing before we move on to the game or the pregame show and discussion. One more thing on Tyreek Hill, and shout out to my best friend Anna. She actually kind of helped me come up with this next segment here because we were talking about Tyrek Hill and a specific topic that was being thrown around the media. And it's something funny enough that I had mentioned 2 years ago when the trade happened to Miami. And that is, the segment and the question was, did Tyreek Hill make a mistake by leaving Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes for money and going to, well, not necessarily for money, but he didn't make a mistake just in general, leaving Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and going to the Miami Dolphins. And that was what the discussion was. I said that shit 2 years ago, yes. Now, was it and what they qualified this statement by was discounting the money. That decision was obvious. Anybody would make that decision. If somebody offered you a fuck ton of money and millions of dollars to go work for them or whatever, of course you would take it. Even if they weren't the best company or the best team or whatever, of course you're going to do that to secure a bag for your family. So they weren't talking about the financial aspect of it. They were talking about just football-wise. Was it a mistake? Is it a mistake? Is it the biggest mistake in NFL history, playing-wise? I said that years ago. Now, what I had actually said back then was, will he be a Hall of Famer? And I thought that might be in jeopardy because, you're not now. You're pretty much not going to be a Hall of Famer because you're going to be on a shit team. The team's going to be winless every season. You're not going to get your numbers. So I was wrong about that because he actually elevated that team enough and elevated Tua Tagovailoa enough to make Miami a very viable and watchable team. So shout out to Tyreek Hill. That shows how great of a player he really is. And so, I got nothing but love for Tyreek Hill, for everything he did with Kansas City, helping us get that first championship after 50 years. I don't like all the madness he'd be talking, but I understand why he does it. He was trying to, generate interest and eyeballs on his podcast. I get that. Hello. So I get that 100%. We all know what the fuck he really meant and what he really feels about the Chiefs and why he's in Miami. He's there because of the money, okay? Make no goddamn mistake about it. But we're talking football. So shout out to Anna because we were having this discussion. And let's go to the clip. I'll show you this way you could get an idea of what we were talking about. And it's on First Take. Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, Molly, I forget who the other person is that's there. But they're all talking about, is this the biggest mistake in NFL history? Tyreek Hill going to Miami over Patrick Mahomes, just from a football standpoint. Let's take a look.
That's what, and Patrick Mahomes is in that same breath with those guys. And you're actually saying with a
Can you look at a guy like Tyrek Hill and tell me who made a bigger mistake in terms of leaving their old team? You look at Tua right now, his career's in jeopardy. They could talk about how he's okay and he's passing every test and he's going to be all right and he ultimately is going to be back. One hit at this point can end everything for him. We had conversations ad nauseum throughout various shows over the last several weeks as to whether or not this man should retire right now. That is what they're saying about Tua Tagovailoa. You're Tyrek Hill. You walked away from Patrick Mahomes. You walked away from Andy Reid. And now the Miami Dolphins look like hot garbage because they don't have their quarterback Tua, who you cannot rely upon because his durability due to the concussions is simply not something that you can rely on. It's that simple. I think this could end up going down as one of the greatest mistakes an NFL football player has ever made in terms of their on-field decisions. So in other words, when you come to a couple of years later, when he thought it was time for him to get his bag and what have you, even more so, the Chiefs thought they came with a good offer, but he was pushing the envelope. Now, we have to understand that the Chiefs never divulged specifically what the number was. But when he got $120 million, $72 million guaranteed, considering the climate that we were living in, et cetera, what if they came to him with 67, 68, right, as opposed to 72 million guaranteed? I understand if they offering you 50 and you getting 72 from Miami. But what if it was the difference between 4 and 5 million, but you got an opportunity to win rings, plus your marketability would have skyrocketed because in 6 years in Kansas City, you were a 6-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion. And then we're talking about the possibility of you being with Patrick Mahomes. We see Travis Kelce, and forget Taylor Swift for a second. We see Travis Kelce doing his own thing even before Taylor Swift. Now, obviously, it has elevated exponentially, and we understand that. But the point is, he was doing his own thing prior to that. And even now, when we see Patrick Mahomes commercials, we still see Travis Kelce in them. Who's to say that wouldn't have been Tyrek Hill? Who would have said that? Who's to say that wouldn't have been the cheetah? There was marketability opportunities there as well, as long as you win. Now he got his money from Miami, but that's all he's got. Because nobody cares because they know Miami's not going anywhere because Tua's health is such a question mark.
There's a lifestyle aspect as well, going from Kansas City to Miami. So if you want to get paid and live in an amazing city with good weather.
But you got to look at this through a prism. We always talk about the NFL, and all of us know this on this desk. You got to maximize those years. We always talk earning potential, which is absolutely the correct thing when we talk about Tyreek going to Miami and getting money. But there's also another element to this. Like after that, could you imagine globally right now what Tyreek Hill would be as a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and the way he's trended in his career?
I agree with you guys, I agree with the football decision, absolutely. And even I would choose football over 100%. I'm just saying that that plays a role as well. That you're in Miami.
100%.
For taxes, everything.
Go ahead, Shay.
Yeah, all those things that you say are absolutely true. But the thing is, he'll get an opportunity to enjoy Miami in January and February because the Dolphins ain't playing in those Super Bowls like they're going to be in Kansas City. Because at the end of the day, and like you said, look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid is State Farm commercials. Andy Reid ain't never acted a day in his life, and that's what Patrick Mahomes was able to do for him. Look at Travis Kelce. Now, Trav is a different animal, but how many times can you turn the TV on Sunday and see a commercial and Travis Kelce isn't in it? So sometimes you got to think out, it's not just the money that you get from the NFL, it's the supplemental income.
Of course.
That you don't have to use your NFL money. Travis Kelce ain't touching his NFL money because it's everywhere else. And that's what you have to look at, Tyreek. And I think Tyreek just thought about it like, look, I want these M's, I want 30 M's a year, blah, 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 and so forth and so on. But from a strictly, and we're talking to Stephen A. and Swags, and we all prefaced it when you.
So there you have it. Obviously, everybody's saying, like, from a football aspect, yes, it's a mistake. Now, let's talk, and here's what me and Anna were talking about. As far as the financial aspect of it, like, of course you're going to take that money. But here's where I'd said this a couple of years ago, which I thought was dumb. And I think it was Shannon Sharpe that pointed out. I don't know how long of a clip I decided to show you guys, and if this segment of it is in the clip that I showed. But there's a portion of it, of that discussion, where I believe it's Shannon Sharpe that says, you know, you're not always going to make your money just from the NFL. And when you're on a dynasty team, when you're on a championship caliber team, you don't need the NFL to make you make money. Case in point, Travis Kelce, okay? Even Patrick Mahomes. Like, yes, he's making a shit ton of money. He's going to make over $500 million on his NFL contract when it's all said and done. But beyond that, he's making a fuck ton of money outside of his NFL contract because of all of his endorsements and his sponsorships and all the outside money that he will generate and can generate. But we're going to stay with Travis Kelce for a moment, right? Look at Travis Kelce. His podcast is killing it. And he just signed, I forget, with ABC or some big company, I forget who it is. A media company gave them a huge contract because they're going to be moving their podcast over to either their network or their streaming service. It might be a streaming service, and I forget which one. But they got a fat contract just because of who they are. And because Travis Kelce plays on a championship caliber team, all the things that the Kansas City Chiefs are doing, championship after championship, he would have never gotten that if he wasn't on the Kansas City Chiefs. And we'll do you one further, which is also something that me and Anna brought up. The Kansas City Chiefs and a championship caliber team, a dynasty team, is so much worth more money than an NFL contract that it spreads the love around to people who aren't even in the team. Case in point, Jason fucking Kelce. Just because he happens to be brothers with Travis. Now, granted, he will go down as one of the greatest centers of all time. He has a Super Bowl in his own right. He will definitely go down as the greatest center the Philadelphia Eagles ever had. But do you really believe that Jason Kelce would be as famous and as loved and be getting endorsements and an ESPN gig if he wasn't the brother of a man who's on a dynasty team, who's been as dominant as they've been? Like, let's say, and again, I'm not saying they wouldn't have been entertaining and their podcast still wouldn't have been good, but let's just pretend for a moment that Patrick Mahomes never came to the Kansas City Chiefs and we stood and suffered in mediocrity as we always had been before Patrick Mahomes. Hell, even before Alex Smith. Let's say Alex Smith never joined the Chiefs, or Andy Reid for that matter, and we were the same old crappy Chiefs, and we had the likes of the Brody Croyles of the world and the Tyler Pigpens and all those idiots that were just there for a shitty paycheck and just didn't really care about winning. Let's say that that's what we had, and that's what the team that Travis Kelce found himself on. And he's trying to do as much as he can, but never gets to shine. Hell, becomes a Tony Gonzalez type of tight end and puts up all the numbers as the highlight of our team, but never gets never gets a championship, never gets a playoff win. Eventually gets traded to another team, and maybe does a little bit better there, but still doesn't get all the way up to the top. And yeah, him and his brother do a podcast together. His brother Jason would be the Super Bowl winning, brother, and they'd be entertaining, but would they be as noticeable? Would they be as popular if they were both just on Jason being on an Eagles team that won one title, and Travis, who was that guy who was pretty good with the Chiefs when he was there, and now he plays for whoever, the Falcons or the Rams or whoever, and just kind of floundering in his career because he's on a shitty team. You can't honestly tell me that podcast and their fame would be the same. They wouldn't be offered. Jason might not even be offered an ESPN gig if you don't get the Kelce Bowl, right? So all of that matters. It's a trickle down. Just think about that. The success and the dominance of the Kansas City Chiefs have affected so many people, so many lives outside of the organization. So Tyreek Hill leaving to get a guaranteed contract or whatever more money he wanted, whatever 33 million or whatever it was, or I think it was 72 million overall over the course of the contract. And what if the Chiefs were going to offer him 67, 68 million? You're only out by 4 or 5. Do you really think you were going to make that money up in endorsements, commercials, advertising, sponsorships, a spot on Saturday Night Live, acting if you wanted to? The way Kelsey is. Travis is on to that damn show. The fuck is it called? Some French word. Shit. Oh, give me a second. Let me look it up. Actually, I didn't have to look it up. I remember it. Grotesquerie, right? I believe that's how you say it or whatever, right? He's doing that show on FX, right? He did Saturday Night Live. He might, he's making an appearance on Billy Madison too. Is that what it is? Yeah, with the golf one with Adam Sandler. Or Happy Madison. Happy Madison. I said Billy Madison. Yeah, Happy Madison, whatever the fuck it's called. You know what I mean? But Kelsey's making movies. Travis. So all that taken into consideration, it really is a mistake. Like, you could have made more money. You would have been more known. You've been on commercials, endorsements. Like, you people would be wanting a piece of you left and right if you are Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, the fastest man in the NFL with 3 championships. Hell, you possibly could have been an MVP, a Super Bowl MVP at this point. Because if you would have, they would have been like, hey, Mahomes did good, but he has 2 in the bag. You know what? Let's give it to Tyreek this time. So when you look at it from that aspect and kind of even from the financial standpoint, it very well can go down as the biggest mistake in NFL history. Because, like, hey, you got money, cool. You got your 72 million or whatever it is. But how much more would you have gotten if you would have stood on the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs? Travis Kelce's making money. Jason Kelce is making money. And part of that reason is because his brother plays on the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, you can't deny that. So I thought, I called it back in the day, if he stays with the Miami Dolphins, his career is going to suffer. They had a good 2 years where his numbers were pretty good. How long is Tua going to last? Who knows? Who knows if he's going to last this season? And then if he doesn't, where do the Dolphins go from there? Who's going to be their quarterback? Now, do they trade up? Do they get lucky and go get Deion Sanders' son, and he becomes the face of the franchise, and maybe Tyreek Hill's numbers go up from there and he can salvage a bit? Is it going to be the Chiefs? Is it going to be a Mahomes-like career? No, of course not. So, interesting story, but I have predicted that 2 years ago. Like, you're going to get your money, you're not going to get the numbers. And they did have a good 2-year run. He made me wrong on the last 2 years, but what I predicted then is happening now. Tua's fragile, and those numbers, look at their season already. So let's see what happens. It'll be interesting, because that alone makes the Tyreek Hill trade like possible and a little more realistic. Oh, and on that note, that was why me and Anna started talking about it. It wasn't just because of that segment. It was because of the tweet that Tyreek Hill had put out a couple of days ago, where he said, woke up to trade news today, very exciting, something along those lines, don't quote me. And so she sent me that, and I had said, shut up, stupid thing. And I said, yeah, I seen it. But he probably most likely was talking about just trade rumors across the NFL, a la Davante Adams, because that is not a secret. That was very well known, very public, that Davante Adams is demanding a trade from the Las Vegas Raiders. So perhaps Tyreek wakes up and he's seen like the Davante Adams news, and that would make sense. Like, you're like, woke up to trade news, very exciting across the NFL. But some people took that as Tyreek Hill being traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's fun to talk about. It's, provocative to think, is the cheetah going to be paired up with the X Factor, the X-Man, Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Mecole Hardman. I mean, damn. Let's go. Give me that roster any day of the week and twice on Sundays. Let's go. So, pretty exciting. Shout out to my best friend Anna. Shout out to Clore. Shout out to Chris, all the homies. Let's move on. Next segment. Let's get to the game. Let's get to the New Orleans Saints coming to Arrowhead for an ass whooping. Monday Night Football. The New Orleans Saints, Derek Carr, and the former Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl winning championship swagger, Honey Badger, returns home to his former team, Tyrann Mathieu. He plays for the Saints, hasn't had a good career there, or at least anything to really write home about, but they've having a better season this year. Hell, the first two games, they put up something around 72 points is what people were, I think what they talked about, right? Or was it 92? Whatever, it was something outrageous. They put up a fuck ton of points. And then they got their ass handed to them a couple of weeks ago, and then I think they lost again this last week, so they're 2-2, right? Not a pushover team, but not a great team. I mean, those two high-scoring games, the NFL was weird in the first 2 weeks, man. Now, what I find hilarious is what some of the analysts, NFL analysts, are talking about where the Chiefs can get got in this game. And they're talking about the running backs, Alvin Kamara. And, the Chiefs have held running backs and blah, 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 but I don't think they're going to be able to do it in this game. And Alvin Kamara, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you fucking kidding me? They shut down Derrick Henry. You can't tell me Alvin Kamara is a more dangerous runner than Derrick Henry. They shut down Atlanta Falcons' hot hand running back in, fuck is his name, new young running back. Give me a second. Bijan Robinson, right? He was running down the throats of everybody those first couple of weeks. Just dominating. They were saying, oh, he's going to run through the Chiefs defense. It's going to be a mauling and blah blah. Held his ass to. I mean, right now our run defense is holding teams to like 1 point something a carry. It's insane. Basically, your ass ain't running on our Chiefs. Where we're weak is in the middle of the field, right? We've been torched by tight ends. But lucky for us, I don't really see that the New Orleans Saints, they don't really have a strong tight end. Who's their tight end? Now, can the Chiefs make their tight ends look good? They probably will, because we purposely give up the middle of the field because we're focusing on stacking the box, not allowing the run game, forcing teams to throw it outside to our corners. The only thing you're going to get is the middle of the field to a tight end. And we've been challenging teams to beat us there. And we have allowed a lot of points, or not a lot, well, I would say a lot of yards to tight ends in the middle of the field. So if there's any area to expose, it's that. That is not the strength of the New Orleans Saints. Their strength lies in their run game and their pass game, where our strengths lie in defense. Good luck with that, right? So I think it's hilarious that they think that all of a sudden what Bijan Robinson and Derrick Henry and whoever, Cincinnati's freaking running back was, what they couldn't do, all of a sudden Alvin Kamara, and I like Alvin Kamara, don't get me wrong, I think he's a great running back. But is he better than those guys? No. So you're gonna do what they couldn't? I doubt it. And then we got to go look at the quarterback, Derek fucking Carr. Really, homie? Been there, done that. I've seen that dance before. I've seen that movie before. You think the Chiefs are afraid of Derek Carr? They know his ass. They know his tendencies. The corners are salivating at this opportunity. Justin Reed, I'm sure can't wait. He's like, oh, sweet, I need another interception. Derek Carr, that train's never late. So I think from a quarterback standpoint, we got their number. Like it's Derek Carr. It's not anything that they're going to be surprised about how he plays. They know how to rattle him. Andy Reid and Spags know how to rattle and get to Derek Carr. So it's going to be a long day for him. We're going to shut down the run. They're going to shut down the pass. And then the Chiefs are going to move forward with their new offense. Focus through Travis Kelce is going to be the focal point, like I talked about last week or in the last episode. Xavier Worthy is going to have a breakout game. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to carve up the middle of the field and help take the pressure off of Travis. You're going to have Mecole Hardman and Justin Watson holding up the back end. You're going to have Kareem Hunt running down their throat, catching out the backfield. Expect him to have a big game. Probably, I'd say so. Probably, I'm going to give him over 100 yards in this game and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt. He's going to be the featured back. Mahomes has a whole nother week and a half with him. You saw what they did in game one. That was game one. That was 5 days of preparation. They've had 2 weeks now. Kareem Hunt's going to have a big game. I think Travis is going to have a big game, probably a touchdown. Expect Xavier Worthy to have a touchdown. It's going to be a 3, maybe 4 touchdown game for Mahomes. No picks. Let's see. I say we are going to destroy the New Orleans Saints. And I know I say this all the time. But one of these motherfucking games, I'm going to be right, okay? One of these games. I think this is the game. That Charger game was the division game. Again, hey, unexpected injury. Again, if we don't have injuries, this should happen. All right, barring any fucked up injury like we've had the last 3-4 weeks, this is how the game should go. Let's go with 38-13, Kansas City. Going to be a hell of a game. Mahomes going to throw for over 300 yards. It's at home in Arrowhead. Before we wrap up here, let's talk about some of the news and talk about our running backs here. We've had some elevation. I talked about Jody Fortson. Also, recent news that just broke earlier today. So they elevated Clyde Edwards-Helaire from the unable to perform list. He's out on the active roster. He's not on the active roster, but he's on the active roster. I think he's on the practice squad right now. They elevated him to practice squad. He's been practicing. He's been around the facility the last few weeks. So he has 21 days to actually play in a game. Before I think they declare him in an injury reserve or whatever. But he's been practicing with the team this week. So there's a chance that they may elevate him to the active roster. And we do have a spot available because they basically was his spot. They never filled it. This whole season we've been rolling with 52 players on the active roster. For those of you that don't know, an NFL team, you can have up to 53 active players during a game. You don't have to fill that spot, but that is the maximum of what you can have. And then you have your practice squad guys, 10 players on the practice squad. So Clyde, ever since he's been basically deactivated on the player unable to perform list, the PUP list, the Chiefs never filled his spot. So we were rolling with 52 players. Now, and then we had 51 players because Rashee Rice went down. They re-signed and then elevated to the active roster the tight end Jody Fortson, which I like. I mean, again, a little weird because you're down. We also heard today that Mecole Hardman was popped up on the injury list with a knee. I mean, that's nothing. And also, Kareem Hunt was also on the injured list, I think, yesterday. But those are just things they get beat up in practice and all that. If Mecole doesn't play, I'm not really that worried about it. Again, we got Juju. We got Xavier Worthy. We got Justin Watson. Sky Moore is there as a body. And if all else fails, they're going to call up Justin Ross. So I'm not worried about that. But so there's a possibility that they do elevate CEH and he comes back and he plays on Monday night. And if he does, that's even better. Like, that's more support. You go into the game with Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, Samaje Perine, and CEH. And really, CEH as the legit number 2, because he's not. You just have to have him on a snap count to see where his physical conditioning is at. But it's not like he has to learn the playbook. He knows the playbook. He's going to be better equipped than a Samaje Perine or a Carson Steele. So he might even be a little more ready than even Kareem Hunt, but Kareem Hunt is just better. He's just a better overall talent. So I like that. I think that'll be awesome. If they elevate him, I'm way more confident in the running back room with CEH there. Yes, he's not Isaiah Pacheco. Yes, he's not Kareem Hunt. But he's still solid, man. He's still good enough, okay? People get on him because of where he was drafted, and he hasn't lived up to that expectation. But he's still one of the best running backs in the league. He's reliable. He gets what you need out of him. Is he going to, just break necks and turn eyeballs like, oh, my God, the way Isaiah does? No. But we don't need him to be that. We need him to be serviceable. And behind Kareem Hunt, he'll be perfect. So that's why, again, the run game is not perfect, but the run game is good enough. It's where it needs to be. Actually, it's better than good enough right now. It is in a position to literally have not even lost a step with the loss of Isaiah Pacheco because Kareem Hunt is there. So where the fuck is this guy going? Bro, what the fuck you doing? Fuck you doing, dude? You're going the wrong way, you dumb bastard. This guy's an idiot. Sorry. As you all know, I'm working. I'm sitting at a rail right now because I want to finish up this segment. And I'm at the entrance. And this moron, UPS driver, just drove the opposite way out instead of using the exit. He was on the exit side, which is that way. The idiot came this way and drove that way, which is the entrance, which is the way I'm facing. I'm facing this way. This fucking moron went that way. I swear to God, these people, literally, you can see. I mean, you can, but I mean, if you're a driver and you're on that side, you literally can fucking see the exit going that way. And this dumb fuck, he sees me in another truck pointed this way. What in your right mind's like, oh, let me go that way? Like, fucking idiot. Well, either way, sorry. I try not to mention work, but that guy's a fucking idiot. I see a lot of them out here. I have no sympathy. You think that all truck drivers are created equal and we're all homies? No, we're not. We call out stupidity when we see it, folks. And that was stupid. Either way, back to our beloved Chiefs. Again, I'm confident in our running back room. I'm confident in our offense. This is your roster, folks. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, McCole Hardman, who gives a fuck about Sky Moore. On the running back side, we got Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, Samaje Perine, and possibly CEH. And if he does play, I think he's number 2. You got Jody Fortson backing up Travis Kelce on the tight end. We still got Noah Gray, right? That's a lot of firepower, folks. That is better than where we were at last year. That's better than relying on Kadarius fucking Toney and MV Sucks and Sky Moore, right? The guy that held it down was Rashid Rice. That's the only reason why we made it as far as we did was because of him. But again, back then, last year at this time, he was a rookie. He was getting his feet under him. He wasn't the superstar he is today. He was getting there, but they weren't sure how much to trust him yet. And then they turned it on the second half of the season with him. But Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, MVS, they were supposed to be the guys that we were supposed to rely upon, and they fucking sucked. I have way more confidence in Xavier Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster and Justin Watson and then McCole holding it down in the back with all the other backups, right? And again, we don't have to rely just on those as pass catchers because of Kareem Hunt. That guy, go look up highlights. Hell, you know what? I'll show you a great couple of highlights from Kareem Hunt from 2019 with Alex Smith. Let's look at this. Let's get excited about Kareem Hunt, folks. What are you doing? Light? Sorry, I lost some light there. There we go. Let's go to the clip. Kareem Hunt highlights, folks. Let's go to the old past fucking, you know what I mean. Hit the play, hit the clip.
With the ball, down 3. Alex Smith rolls, throws, touchdown. Kareem Hunt. We have a flag down.
Well, it's going to stay a touchdown. It looked like it was going to be holding on Desmond King, who was trying to cover Hunt in the flat as he released out. Chiefs have 3 tight ends to the left side of the formation. Alex Smith spins to get out. You see King holding him with the right arm there and then falls off of him late. Alex Smith dumps him off and Hunt with the touchdown.
Who have taken such good care of the football in recent games. Not so much tonight. Over the middle. That is complete to Kareem Hunt. And Hunt right at the first down marker at the 46-yard line.
He's had 11 interceptions, but haven't been close so far tonight.
Hunt, first down.
That's right. Obviously, you want to try getting points, but you also want to start using up some of the clock.
This is Hunt. Hunt, left side, first down, and much more down the sideline.
The Wayback Machine, that's what the fuck I was trying to say, but you saw that. Great highlights. I mean, some of those were just bombs by Alex Smith. And you tell me you think Patrick Mahomes can't do that? Of course he could, man. He invented it. Like, so, you know, what I'm waiting to see, there was always a really fun play that they used to use Kareem Hunt on, and it was, it's like a crossing route out of the backfield, but basically, so if this is your center, my middle finger, the center, this is the quarterback, right? And you would have your running back lined up next to, almost on an offset eye, next to your quarterback. And they hike the ball, and as the quarterback kind of backs up, the running back stands here, pretends like he's going to block, right? He might get a play or whatever, or he bails out, and he'll sneak out. Mahomes usually, back then it was Alex Smith. They'll create space, they'll create time, and the running back would sneak out and cross this way. So he'd come from here, almost like a triangle, and go like that. And he sneaks out, comes to the middle of the field, and it's a fucking bomb over the top, middle of the field, and he's gone. They used to use that a lot with Kareem Hunt. And I'm waiting for them to bring that back because with him there, they now have that option. They haven't had that option previously. As good as Isaiah Pacheco is, again, he was barely working on his hands this season to be that good. We saw him drop a big pass in week 1. CEH was supposed to be that guy. I don't know why they went away from him and the pass with CEH. I don't know why, but because he was supposed to be that guy that we can use that way. It just never developed. I don't know why. But he had that capability in college, and for whatever reason, the Chiefs did not decide to use him that way. Hopefully, because they know he can do it, they will with Kareem Hunt. But that is a phenomenal play. I hope they use it. We'll see if they do. That about wraps up today's episode. I'll see you guys next time. Will Tyrek Hill be a Chief before season's end? Only time will tell. I highly doubt it, but it is fun to think about, and it ain't out of the realm of impossibility, folks. We got the New Orleans Saints coming to town, and we are going to be ready to serve up that ass whooping like only the Kansas City Chiefs can, because as you all know, when it comes to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs,
he'll get handled when it gets handled.
Wait, hold up. Stop the tape. We got some bonus content for you guys. As you can see, I took the jersey off, took the banner down. I was getting ready to wrap this up. Now, as I was watching some clips that I needed to save to put in post for the video, I came across some more Tyrek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa content and discussion. It made me think of something, right? And the content of the video, it doesn't really matter what it was. Basically, they're talking about whether or not Tyrek Hill, should he go to the Chiefs, should he get traded, blah, 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 like what we've been talking about, what we discussed in the video. And Dan Orlovsky made a comment of like, of course not. They just gave him a bunch of money. It doesn't make sense. He ran for 1,000 yards, or he put up 1,000 yards in the last 2 seasons. Blah 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 fucking blah. Right? And that makes sense. But like we talked about all the reasons why I think he should come back. Right? And we talked about the money, making more money in Kansas City because of endorsements and the like. But then it comes down to, will the Dolphins do it? Right? Why would they do it? They'd be down almost $30 million in a cap hit next season. Even if they rebuild, like, why would you, even if without Tua, why would you bail on Tyrek Hill, especially in a rebuild? He would be the guy that you would need to build around regardless of the quarterback you have, right? Even if you decide that Tua hangs it up, gets another concussion, he rides off into the sunset because of health reasons, whatever the case may be. So it got me thinking. How would that work in a real situation, right, for the Kansas City Chiefs? Because, again, they wouldn't get the draft capital. If they were going to blow up the team, they would not get the draft capital for Tyrek Hill. They'd get maybe a second or a third rounder. That's not enough to get them a number 1 draft pick or a high pick quarterback, right, high draft pick quarterback. Again, kind of like what I said earlier, maybe they package it and all that. Very rarely do teams do that. Then it got me thinking, folks. What if, because of the relationship between Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniels, they have a really close relationship. He cares about Tua. He cares about his health. Tua wants to continue playing. He does not want to hang it up just yet, no matter the concussions. The people around him want him to be happy, but they're concerned about his health. The NFL as a whole, at least team-wise, other teams are concerned about his health. You got a man like Andy Reid, who is very player-friendly, very player-first type of coach. You got Tyrek Hill, who wants to get paid, but at the same time wants to cement his legacy, he wants to go down one of the greatest of all times, and he wants rings. He wants to win. You saw his frustration on the field last week because they were sucking ass. So what about this? The Miami Dolphins need a solid quarterback. They need draft picks. They need to rebuild their team and build the momentum. But they can't do it without, now, yeah, Tyrek Hill's there, they build around, but who are they going to get, right? What if the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid pick up that phone and they say, okay, Mike, we want Hill back. We'll send you a second round next year, and a second round the year after that, or a third round, maybe some other random ass picks. Let's say a second and a third round. A second rounder next year and a third round the year after that, or maybe a fifth round next year. And Carson Wentz, our backup quarterback, who can very much still be a starter in another team. You give us Hill, and Tua becomes our backup. Tua gets to continue on playing and living out his dream and playing in the NFL without the pressure of when am I going to get hit again. And he gets to become a member of a championship caliber team, a team that's about to make history and three-peat, and he gets to stay with his new best friend, Tyrek Hill. Tyrek Hill gets reunited with the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and they move on to continue this historic run on a three-peat, and he rejoins the Kansas City Chiefs. Tua Tagovailoa becomes the backup to Patrick Mahomes. no longer with the pressure being called upon to be the starter. And when's that next hit coming? Now he gets to kind of lean back, take it all in, enjoy the fruits of being an NFL quarterback without the pressure of being hit. And if Mahomes, suffers a minor injury there, hey, all right, cool, step up to it. We know you can do it. You got a connection with Hill. But when that doesn't happen, hey, you're on the bench, you're learning from Mahomes, you're healing up, maybe in a year or two, your brain's well enough that they say, hey, you got a shot at it again. Get back out there, and he starts for another team. I don't know. It's possible. Hit the outro. Sorry, hit the outro, motherfuckers. Hit the music. You know what I mean. Later. See you next week. See you next time, folks.